Welcome to Yin and Young. The following is a story taken from Chapter 3. I have called it The Traumatic Price of a Precious Gift. I hope you enjoy it. On a cold winter night, several months after Yinlin heard the tale of the golden fish, Yinlin woke with a start. Had she heard her mother cry out? The lights were on, and her grandmother was standing near her mum's bedroom door. Some men carrying a stretcher had come into the house and moved toward the bedroom. Yinlin clearly heard groans from her mother. "Ah!" Yinlin started to cry. "What's wrong?" Yinlin thought something disastrous was happening. With the sound of her mother crying and the men inside talking quickly and urgently, Yinlin believed she was going to lose her mother. "Ah!" Yinlin sat in her bed, wide-mouthed, tears coming down her face. All Yinlin's face showed tragedy and loss. She was desperate. "Ah!" she continued to cry as the men carried her mother out the door. As soon as they disappeared into the night, Yinlin got up and followed in swift little steps, standing in the entrance. She watched through eyes flooded with tears as the men put her mother in the back of a cart. It was a 3-wheeled tractor with a large back area for carrying things like produce or dirt or anything. This time it was covered with a soft matting, and Yinlin's mother was gently placed in the back and covered with several blankets. Yinlin cried louder, reaching out her hand and leaning over as if in pain. "Mom! Come back, Mom!" she cried. Nai appeared behind her, and Yinlin turned, sobbing. "Where are they going?" she cried. "Where are they going?" Nai shushed her gently and said, "Don't worry, Yinlin. Everything is okay. Come back inside." Yinlin, wanting relief at any cost, followed her Nai back into the bedroom. She was mollified somewhat as Nai led her back to the bed. In recent months, Yinlin had begun to sleep in her own bed, but tonight Nai invited Yinlin back to her bed, and this made Yinlin feel safer. Yinlin continued, not less urgently but unwilling yet to let go of her desperate feeling. She sat on the bed waiting to hear Nai's explanation. Nai slowly set her body down beside Yinlin. "Come here," she said, holding Yinlin by her side. Yinlin's body continued huffing from time to time as she tried to catch her breath. "Shh, shh," Nai soothed Yinlin. "Well, actually, that's not how it went. According to Yinlin's inner experience, the events as described just now are an exact description of how everything happened. However, according to what Yinlin's Nai saw, Yinlin's outer expression was far more subdued, almost void. At the age of 5 years, Yinlin had already learned that expressing too much emotion was not acceptable, especially negative emotions. She was expected to act like an adult, and adults never express the pains of their suffering. If one had observed the traumatic event of Yinlin's mother being taken out, all an objective observer would have seen is Yinlin waking, and with a blank face watching as her mother was taken out of the house. Yinlin did follow, but she followed without expression and in measured steps, betraying nothing of the desperation she actually felt. The only evidence that something might have disturbed Yinlin was that she asked Nai where Mum went, and if she could sleep with Nai tonight. "Do you remember we've been telling you that you will be having a baby brother or sister?" Yinlin remembered. She remembered looking at her mother's tummy and seeing how big it was. She nodded her head, and slowly, secretly, she took in a deep breath to calm herself down. "Well, the baby is on its way, and Mum needs to go to the hospital." Yinlin then asked, "Do you get the baby at the hospital?" She couldn't understand what was wrong with her mother, and why the baby needed to come when her mother was sick. "Yes, the baby will come in the hospital." "But what's wrong with Mum? Why is she sick?" "No, Yinlin, nothing's wrong with Mum. The men were taking her to help her have the baby. This is normal for a woman. Every woman has this. It was the same when you were born, and it was the same when I had your mother." "Really?" Yinlin asked. "Mum went to the hospital to come get me?" "Yes. After Mum goes to the hospital, then she will have the baby and come home. Then you will be able to meet your new brother or sister." "Oh. Okay," Yinlin said. No one would know how much Yinlin needed reassurance, but it was beginning to make sense to her. She didn't understand everything, such as why men needed to take Mum in the stretcher, and why her mum was crying. Maybe she was nervous about whether it would be a boy or girl, but it didn't matter, as long as things were normal and everything would be fine. Yinlin stopped worrying and jumped out of bed, and, looking through her toys, pulled out the wind-up panda. Coming back to bed, she wound up the toy, telling Nai, "I'm going to give this to the baby," she said to Nai. "Oh, that's very nice, but I think you should sleep now." "Okay, I'll give the toy to the baby in the morning." "Oh, it won't be so quick. Your mother will be gone for several days before she comes back." Yinlin was disappointed by this news, but the thought that nothing was wrong with her mother, and the idea that she would have a baby brother or sister, excited her enough that she was able to go back to sleep, feeling not only comforted but even a bit excited. She lay back down in bed, and while the light was still on, she looked closely at her toy panda. As Nai closed the door to her mother's bedroom, Yinlin talked softly. She was speaking to her new brother or sister, explaining, "This is a panda. Do you know that a panda is a Chinese animal? We gave 2 pandas to America as a gift, and I'm going to give this one to you. I just don't know if I should call it Yinlin or Xing," she explained to the baby. "Xing if you're a boy, and Yinlin if you're a girl." Life returned to normal, and Yinlin loved her new baby sister. Her sister was given the name Yin Kai-jiao, but Yinlin said she was going to call her Yinlin after the panda. "She's cute, like a panda," Yinlin said. With the addition of the baby in the home, Yinlin spent more time with her Nai or on her own. Her family was happy, and when her mother had time, she made flowers out of plastic to beautify the surroundings. Yinlin sometimes entertained herself by laying on the table outside, looking up into the sky and listening to the sounds of arguing in other homes. One of the kids was crying, and she could hear the father shouting and no doubt hitting his child. But Yinlin's home was quiet and joyful. She thought about how neat and beautiful both her mother and her grandmother were, and her sister even didn't cry that much, just coo and goo.